Well, it's 8 o'clock, and we have a quorum. We'll have a few more coming in. So, Representative Neal, would you start us off with prayer? What's your number?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day you've given. We thank you, Lord, for getting us here safely this morning. We just pray your blessings upon this day. Help us to be mindful to your leadership and your guidance as we make the decisions of the day, and we'll give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. If everyone would turn off their phones, or at least put them on vibrate. Yes, sir, it's down the hall and at the cafeteria.
6:05 at 8:45.
Yeah.
Bring your check to Rural Talk.
The first bill we will start off with is substitute to House Bill 235, Representative Earhart. This bill was passed in subcommittee yesterday. Representative Earhart, go ahead.
The opportunity to have a hearing on House Bill 325. Your subcommittee did pass it unanimously yesterday afternoon. I appreciate the time to talk to you about it. It does four things, and let me tell you, we worked very hard on a substitute for this. Both sides have come to an agreement on this. Dr. Thomas worked with us from the physician's perspective and the Optometry Association. So this sub is a product of that collaborative work product. It does four things and nothing. I'm sure you've seen some of the emails that sometimes go out every time we have this issue. I promise you, members of the committee, that cats and dogs are not going to be, again, cohabitating in the state of Georgia of this. But other than that, let's talk seriously about what the bill actually does. It seeks to clarify a route through which optometrists can administer currently allowed medications. Key, currently allowed medications. It's trying to anticipate the new technologies that are out there, i.e. nasal mist, contact lenses that will now administer those types of medications. It's anticipating that current technology that's coming on that allows current medicines they can already prescribe to be administered through those new technologies. That's number one. It allows, like 32 other states, the prescription of oral steroids. 32 other states, military, healthcare, everyone else has this. Our optometrist, our rural healthcare needs to be able to do that. Number three, it allows the continued use of hydrocodone, which optometrists have had the prescriptive authority for since 1972. What it does is anticipates the possibility that the FDA will move that from a Schedule 3 to a Schedule 2 drug. And if they do, we don't want to have to come back in here and change the law just to anticipate that. So it allows that. And number four, it eliminates the language which used to exempt the optometrists from who are over 65 from continuing education. I don't know about you, but I want anyone who continues to work on in a medical profession to continue their education, no matter what age they are. So it requires that they continue their education after 65. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, that's what this bill does. I'm more than willing to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions from the? Okay, number 19. Identify yourself and.
I'm not sure this morning, but I think I still am Lee Hawkins.
We're just doing this. We're just doing this for the internet and people who are watching and who are up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh Lord! I want to get something clear, Representative Earhart, on the hydrocodone thing. When I apply for my DEA, I check off the boxes. Nowhere on there does it say, this or that or choices within two. I talked to the Georgia Drug and Narcotics Agency this morning and asked them that question. I said, how are we going to do this? This is a federal DEA license. He said, to his knowledge, it can't be done. They're going to have to be able to check two, and that means all drugs in two. I don't want to throw cold water on this, especially with, I've got friends that are optometrists that are great people that I have a lot of respect for and their knowledge. I just see a working problem there. And then number two, I sort of like the idea of folks over 65 not having to do continuing education. Let me tell you why. We got a free clinic in Gainesville, and I wish the Dental Association would do this. We got guys that have not forgotten how to take care of people, and they're retired. And, you know, if they did not have to pay the license fee, which we're getting ready to increase, hopefully, with the bill that I've got, you know, it just sort of keeps them out of volunteering. So, just comments.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, no other questions. It's time for a motion. Move approved and second? Okay, you want to? Okay. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Okay. Okay. No, we still have House Bill 246. He needs to come. Just so everyone knows, this is not a public hearing. Only the presenter and the committee are allowed. Okay. Representative Golick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, House Bill 246 comes to us at the request of the Georgia World Congress Center Authority. What the bill does is allow the authority to go to the open market and shop for a flexible benefits plan as part of its I guess, general recruitment effort and strategy to recruit the best and the brightest into the authority to help it be a huge economic generator for the state. It seeks to be able to go on the open market and get as attractive and as efficient, as effective a flexible benefits plan as it can get. By way of example, when the current executive director was recruited, I guess it was about 2-3 years ago, right? That was a national search. As you know, we are the epicenter, or one of the epicenters in the country as it relates to convention business. It's an economic generator that I really cannot overstate, and the ability to attract the best people to the authority staff is paramount in order for the authority to go ahead and fulfill its core mission. And the best evidence of that, of course, is the convention business that we have here in Atlanta, much of which goes on and conducted on the World Congress Center Authority campus, whether in the Murphy Ballroom area, in the Dome, both, wherever it may be. So this particular legislation has the approval of the administration, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if I can. But that's simply what the bill does. And I passed out some bullet points just for broader context, but essentially that's the summary of the bill.
And your comment just a second ago, it has been approved by the governor's office.
Yes, it has the approval of the governor's office.
Okay, number 17, identify yourself and then ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Carolyn Hughley. Just a question, how are they able to save so much money?
Well, I think just by virtue of probably, I honestly don't know what their mechanism is as it relates to this being on the open market, but it's their feeling that they have the ability to go ahead and get a better product on the open market as it relates to flexible benefits that will be more attractive to prospective staff, employees, officers, people with fairly heavy responsibilities on the authority. So that's what they want to pursue, and if they feel they can get a better deal that's more attractive to prospective employees and recruits later on, why not? If that'll get us the best and brightest that's available.
I was just curious. I was wondering how they're going to save this 75%.
22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Howard Maxwell. I'm sorry I didn't make the subcommittee hearing yesterday. Chairman Golick, I was in some other meetings, but now I want to make sure. Now we're not. It said that in the handout here that administrative service that the authority was not able to opt out of the inclusion of the flexible benefit plan. They opted out of the state health benefit plan. But what about the retirement plan? Is any, because y'all still have to be under that, right? 'Cause that was
Still
the
be under,
concern I
still be
had.
under that.
Yeah, you can't not establish another retirement plan or not looking in
No,
the
sir.
future doing that.
No, sir, no, no.
Okay.
24.
John Carson. Thank you, Chairman Golick. I did have a question in follow-up to Chairman Maxwell's. How would this affect post-retirement medical and post-retirement insurance and so forth?
They would stay in the state health benefit plan. Sir. Mr. Chairman, do you want me to go ahead and answer myself, or would you, I can go ahead and answer, but
Do
these
we
are
want the
technical
right
questions.
answer, or do we want her to answer?
I want to get you.
All right, we want the right answer.
I want to get you the answer that you need. So
Okay, I want
I'll,
the answer the
I'll
right
go ahead
answer.
and get. Current employees would be on the state health benefit plan, but new hires would be on the new plan going forward. Does that make sense? Did I misstate that? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mind if Ms. Kendrigan
Go ahead,
responds? Thank
and
you.
give her the.
I'm Stephanie Kendrigan with the Georgia World Congress Center Authority. The way it would work is retirees, when we left the state health benefit plan, all of our current retirees stayed on the state health benefit plan, so they will continue to go that route. Moving forward, though, from January 1st, anybody that retires from the Congress Center Authority will be on our state health benefit, or on our personal benefit plan.
That was another question of mine. Is this January 1st, 2013 or 14?
2013.
So anybody who retired this
If you retired,
40 days ago or future,
you would stay on the state health benefit plan.
okay. How many employees?
If you retired in December of last year, you would still be on the state health benefit plan.
During 2012,
Correct.
starting January 1st
You will now, all of our retirees will stay on our plan.
through third-party private insurance.
Correct.
How many employees do you have current as
We
well as
have around
retired?
401
Current employees?
current employees.
How many retired employees do you have?
I think it's like 30 or 40 or something like that. It's a small number.
Okay. No more questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from? All right, I guess it's time for a motion. Do pass and have a second? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion, bill passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I appreciate the indulgence of having Ms. Kendrigan answer the
Well,
technical questions.
we wanted the right answer, so,
Then you better ask someone else other than me. Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Moving right along. House Bill 254, Representative Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 250, I'm Representative Bruce Williamson of House District 115, presenting today a bill that would amend the code to include the definition of a mobile electronic device for the use of presentation of the insurance information card in an electronic format. So what this bill does is, essentially anywhere in the code it says a paper ID card for information purposes for an automobile insurance policy that's supposed to be carried in your vehicle. If the customer, the policyholder, and the insurance company or the insurance agent get together and give that policyholder an electronic image of that card, the traffic enforcement officer or the law enforcement officer at the scene of a crime, or scene of the accident or the or traffic stop, could present an image of that card on their personal portable electronic device, such as a cell phone, a smartphone, or anything of that nature. So it just allows for the convenience of the policyholder to store a digital image of their insurance information card and have it on their person, and the law would be such that the law enforcement officer would accept that image as evidence or for the insurance information purposes, if that makes sense. Be happy to answer any questions that the committee might have.
I've got one.
Yes,
Are
sir,
are
Mr.
all
Chairman.
insurance companies providing this service?
No, sir, but it's voluntary for the insurance industry. The way the laws, the proposed bill is drafted, it'd be voluntary for the insurance companies to provide an electronic image. Although, having served in the industry for a number of years as an agent, I know that even 5 or 6 years ago when I got out, we had the ability to send a PDF of the insurance information card, and most people's smartphones now can capture that image, store it on their phone, and show it at a traffic stop. I did talk to representatives of the law enforcement community, both the Sheriff's Association, others for me, talked to the police officers, the Chief of Police Association. Everybody likes the law. Currently under the GEEK system that's maintained by the Department of Revenue, when a law enforcement officer makes a stop, the two things they have to ask for is your automobile information card and your driver's license. While the law enforcement officer is making the stop, they're pulling up your tag number, and through the Department of Revenue website is showing whether or not you've got insurance, and it says, for example, Allstate Insurance and valid insurance. The system does not show the policy number. Well, theoretically, everybody's got their paper copy in their glove box, but oftentimes they can't find it, in this, especially after an accident. And the law enforcement accident reports do ask for the policy number. So this is another mechanism to get information more quickly to the law enforcement personnel after an accident, where there will be an exchange of information between parties in an accident situation. So it does not cost the state a dime. It's volunteered by the insurance industry, and the customer may or may not request or choose to have that option for evidence on their automobile insurance card in electronic format. So just provides another convenience to the policyholder and the industry should everyone choose to use that.
Okay. Number 12.
Representative J. Neal, follow up on that question. I know what we're talking about is an electronic PDF file sent by the insurance company, but if I take a picture, a photograph of my card and save that on my iPhone, I assume that would be acceptable as well, or
the way I read the draft of the language, that would be. I don't think is our legislative counsel here? Yeah. The way that I read that would be satisfactory evidence of the electronic format of the paper copy.
Thank you.
Okay. 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill, Representative Williamson. I was thinking now, back several years ago when we implemented GEEKS and going through that, we changed the law that did not require the customers to actually have a copy of the insurance card in their vehicle. Now, I always tell my customers it's good to have it, because if in the event of an accident or if you're out of state, they won't recognize the Georgia program. But am I mistaken in that? I mean, it's not really required. I suggest that, and I have customers calling all the time that's lost their card, blah, blah, blah. We email them a copy or factual printout or whatever. But it's really not required, I don't believe, in the state to have that card.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm not an attorney, but line 69 of the current code says every law enforcement officer in this state shall determine if the operator of a motor vehicle subject to the provisions of this code section has the required minimum insurance coverage every time the law enforcement officer stops the vehicle or requests the presentation of the driver's license of the operator of the vehicle. So as a practical matter, what law enforcement personnel are doing is they're asking for evidence of your insurance and your driver's license every time. Now, further down in the code, and I should have marked it, it does say that somewhere in here that if it is in the DOR system, that does satisfy the requirement. So it's a little bit ambiguous. Line 69 is saying you've got to present it at the traffic stop. Later on in the code section, it says that if it is in the system, that should satisfy the law enforcement officer.
Yeah, it was my understanding when we did this that the GEEK system would, once you ran the tag or the VIN number, I was thinking it was on the VIN number, not the tag they checked, that was satisfactory.
And that might be how it literally operates, but
Okay.
It's my
I don't have a
understanding-
problem with it, it's just my
My
understanding.
understanding, but, and I did confirm with the DOR yesterday afternoon in law enforcement, all the geek system says is, for example, Allstate, State Farm, Travelers Insurance, valid coverage does not have the policy number on it.
It does not give the policy number. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Yes, sir. 21. Representative Williamson, this is I think is a very good bill. I think a lot of states are already doing this, and a lot of carriers like it. But I think the fact that you've made it voluntary is the right thing to do. But I think one other thing that I wanted to note is, in addition to just having a PDF type copy, electronic copy, a lot of folks also have like real-time online access to their policy information through secure websites where you log in and get a user ID and a password, and you can go on and make your own policy changes and so forth. And I think it's, some of the younger generation take advantage of that, and will continue to do so. And this would be another option for them to just simply pull up the application or log in on their phone or iPad or whatnot and be able to show the proof of insurance if they don't have the paper ID card. And is it true also that the carriers would still issue the paper ID card?
That is correct. But most of us aware, a lot of the insurance companies are offering mobile apps for the convenience of their customers, and frankly, it's just another opportunity for them to market mobile apps for the convenience of all the policyholders. So I believe you'll see even more companies offering that convenience to the policyholders, and again, it's just totally voluntary.
Okay, thank you. 27. Okay, 10.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, I think it's a great idea. I support the bill, and I know that we're not the first. It would not be the first. There are other states. I think Alabama, from a neighboring standpoint, has this, and other states do as well. So I know we would not be going out on a limb. It's a great idea and a great consumer convenience. Mr. Chairman, when we went to the online verification system several years ago, I mean, part of it was to address the uninsured motorist problem, verification, and also was to go ahead and address the fraud issues. That we had, some mills, pill mills, well, there were insurance mills that were, just giving out these cards, buying coverage with XYZ insurance company. They gave a little piece of paper, and that's verification. Lapses in 30 days, they still got the piece of paper. Oh, look, I've got insurance, but there's no way for law enforcement to confirm or deny that. So that was part of the intent there. I think this is great. I want to make sure it's as tight as we can get, so make the following comment. And the idea, again, then was to get away from paper, because paper can be fraudulent. When I look at lines 27 to 30, the proof or evidence of required minimum coverage required by the subsection may be produced in either paper or electronic format. So I'm a little concerned that that language there would get us back to the possibility of that fraudulent little card that I could probably make one in my office right after the meeting if we want to. And I just want to make sure, going as a comment, that doesn't undermine the whole idea of true verification electronically. Keep electronic, have this mobile application electronic format, whether it's in a mobile app or if it's sent via an email or whatever it may be. I want to make sure that language in either paper, that paper reference doesn't undermine that. I'm not saying that it does. I looked at that and said, I wonder if that does or doesn't. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I understand your reservation,
Okay.
But really all this bill's doing is saying wherever we've been using paper, electronic image will also suffice. And the main things, this is a tool just for information sharing as much as anything after an accident, because both the paper card and electronic image of the card have not only the name of the insurance carrier, but the policy inception and expiration dates, as well as the policy number, and that's sort of critical. And oftentimes it has the company contact, the claims telephone number, and information such as that. This advantageous in the event of an accident, because don't forget, the law enforcement officers, if he or she has any suspicion there's any fraud going on, they still have the geek system at their disposal to see whether or not is in fact a policy that's enforced according to the DOR computers.
And that's my concern, Representative, is that does this section, and I would want to just get some feedback. Does this section actually undermine the system? Because if the geek system says, no, there's not coverage, but this says may be produced in either paper or electronic format, does that get us back to potentially fraudulent card? That's my only,
Well,
that's how I read that, if I'm
Again,
understanding
you can
it.
have a one-year insurance, automobile insurance information card in your glove box,
Mm-hmm.
and your policy could have lapsed for non-payment of premium.
Right.
You're back in the same boat. This is just electronic image. And frankly, if it's a current electronic image, it's going to be more real time than the paper, because the paper could be sitting in your glove box for. Shows how old I am. I call it a glove box, but your storage box in the front of your automobile. That policy could have lapsed for non-payment of premium months earlier.
What's your number? Legal counsel.
I apologize for interjecting in this discussion, but I want to bring your attention to line 60. And the way I understand this, and it's been explained to me, that when this was passed, the idea, or the way the law is, the geek system is for proof of minimum liability insurance. There are exceptions when there is an opportunity, either in a fleet policy, the way I understand it, or a new purchase where you wouldn't have it in the geek system yet. So there are exceptions where paper will prove that you have minimum liability insurance. But what this is doing is only in the cases where, for example, in a fleet policy, you can now show the electronic version, but this is for information purposes only. The law still requires people to carry their cards with them. That information, there's a cross-reference to another code section that refers to the need to exchange information in an accident, and that's what we're talking about, where the policy number is there, information that's not in the geek system. But this no way replaces the geek system and says now we're going to use electronic to prove that you have minimum liability insurance. It's just to replace where it's permitted in the code section to require to have your information card. It is just in lieu of the paper if you have this. Does that clarify?
Mr. Chairman, if I can just ask a
Yes, go
clarifying
ahead.
question. So it really is, it's for informational purposes and will not undermine the geek system in terms of what constitutes legal proof.
Correct.
Okay.
For
Thank you,
legal
Mr. Chairman.
proof for minimum insurance coverage. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 28.
Yes, Eddie Lumsden. What is the reason that the policy number is not included in the information on the geek system?
It's my understanding it's just a systems issue. I didn't delve too deep into that subject.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, time for a motion? Move to pass, second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, just passed, Mr. Williamson. Y'all be sure you get your information to our illustrious Rules Chairman so we can get this before Rules. We will probably have another subcommittee on administration and licensing Tuesday afternoon, and probably another full insurance committee meeting Wednesday morning next week at 8 o'clock. Thank you. Y'all have a good day. Meeting adjourned.